Welcome. Thank you for coming and making time for pharmaceutical trends for computer systems regulated by FDA. So we'll talk a little bit about what we mean by the systems that are regulated by FDA, GXP systems, FDA inspection and audit, computer system validation, the system development lifecycle, and then we'll talk about other FDA regulations and guidance that we need to consider when we're looking at the trends. We'll look at regulatory shift factors, what has an impact on how regulations change, how you can validate, how you can change your validation strategy, how you can refine it to deal with these factors, and what are some of the trends in FDA findings in the past few years. Then we'll recap and have questions and answers. So let's get started. So by GXP systems, we're talking about IT and automated systems. That means an IT system being an application or something that runs on a desktop or a laptop or a mobile device, and automated systems, those that are automatically controlling manufacturing equipment or laboratory systems, instruments, or monitoring for rooms or any other type of direct automation of a piece of equipment. IT and automated systems throughout your organization are used for development, production, storage, and distribution of products that are regulated by FDA, whether you're pharmaceutical, biologic, medical device, tobacco, or any other FDA-regulated organization. You have to validate these systems in accordance with the FDA's requirements for computer system validation, or CSV. We call them GXP because it's defined where X is variable. X can be M for good manufacturing practices, L for good laboratory practices, or C for good clinical practices. These are all the predicate rules that tell you what FDA expects on coming in and inspecting your computer systems that are regulated by FDA. Now you'll find these GXP systems throughout your organization because they touch product during key processes. They actually have an impact on how you're handling your product or testing your product or making your product. And these are in your areas such as development, toxicology, clinical research, manufacturing, warehouse storage, distribution, adverse event monitoring after products are on the market, post-marketing surveillance. All of these are examples of areas and processes related to them where you'll find GXP systems. But of course, the list is much larger for any organization. Examples of the types of systems: you might have a lab data acquisition system, a lab information management system, a clinical data management system, adverse reporting, room environmental monitoring, animal observation, data recording and reporting, manufacturing and enterprise resource planning systems. And note that you have to take into account any interfaces or integration of these systems, these GXP systems, with other systems. So you make sure you're not mixing up clean and dirty, clean meaning validated systems, with dirty or unvalidated systems. Now, FDA doesn't come out and say this, but what you'll find in dealing with them is that they operate on two very key premises. One is that if you didn't document something, you didn't do it. You've got to provide proof in writing that you did something. And if you could have committed fraud, you did commit fraud. If there was a loophole and a way for either your employees to collude on some kind of fraud or to be able to fudge some kind of data, then it's assumed that that was the case. There's no recourse here. The notion that you're innocent until proven guilty may hold up in a court of law in the US, but it doesn't hold up when you're dealing with FDA. It's you're guilty until you prove that you're innocent. Now, as consequences, the FDA can issue fines, they can confiscate material or products, and they can shut down some or all of your operations. A classic example of where this occurred was Schering-Plough in 1998 was issued a consent decree. Now, FDA typically will issue a 483 citation, which is sort of like a speeding ticket. You fix something in a certain period of time, you prove you fixed it, and everything's fine. Then you get a warning letter where they tell your CEO that they are going to go to jail if certain things are not fixed. Consent decree is the final hammer. With Schering-Plough, they had to pay $500 million in fines, and they had to shut down more than one of their operating plants. It took about 10 years for them to recover from losses. Now, computer system validation was introduced by FDA in 1983 through the Blue Book. It was the guide for computerized systems in an FDA-regulated environment. CSV is the process of assuring that a system does what it purports to do. That's the language the FDA uses. It shows that you've thoroughly tested and validated the system in order to prove that it does what it purports to do. Basically matching up your requirements, your stated requirements, showing through testing that those requirements are met. The system operates as expected. It's based on the standard system development life cycle methodology, which is used for all computer systems, whether it's a regulated area or not. It's a standard in industry for any type of system. The SDLC covers your system from cradle to grave. It requires very rigorous planning, testing, and documentation throughout the life cycle of the system. It supports the requirements for GXP system validation, and it's integral to computer system validation to the methodology. It's used for selecting, implementing, maintaining, and finally retiring a system. That's the entire life cycle. Through the computer system validation and system development life cycle, we'll see deliverables that are required